Okay. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, going back to that 1,000-page document, it's stipulated in there who is eligible and how these claims are to be processed. And it sounds like you're saying it's pretty black and white, but it seems that there is an issue here over the interpretation of the way you're interpreting it, the way BP is interpreting it. So, help us to understand what's going on there.
There's some serious issues that are pending now, and I'll address that if you want during the course of this discussion. Before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, I'm not at liberty and could not and would not comment on an issue that's pending before the court. I've religiously not done that.
Right.
And I don't want to do that today.
And we're not going to ask you to do that.
And I know you're not going to do that. Thank you very much.
Of course.
But with that aside, the real issue on the table, well, there's two kind of issues on the table. One is there are questions about causation. What cause is this has to be related directly to the spill. I say that the agreement addresses that. We addressed hypothetical questions of the parties which addressed that. We got all that cleared up earlier, but there still seems to be some dispute about this.
Yeah, let's digress for a moment and talk about that. And what most people understand in any sort of a lawsuit is the person who makes a claim, in most lawsuits, Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Florida, you have to show causation. Two parts of a case. Causation, damages. Causation means that guy ran the red light. It's his fault. He caused the harm. Right. And then after you show causation, that you caused the harm, then you argue about how much damages resulted. I got medical bills, I have pain and suffering, and then you put a dollar value on that. This is very unique in this case because according to the terms of the settlement, the way it's been enforced all this time, and according to what most people say when they read the settlement agreement, BP agreed, for good reasons we can go into, at least I'll go into it, BP said that we won't argue about causation. We will not argue about causation. If you live in that geographic area that you just defined, if you live in that area and you can show that you had a decrease in income, for instance, let's say business claims. In full disclosure, my law office handles claims against BP, so take it with a grain of salt. If you can show a decrease in finances per the special way it's outlined in the settlement agreement, and you fit in the class, then BP has to pay the money, as long as your office agrees that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. You don't have to prove causation. You don't have to prove it's because of the oil spill. Did I lay that out accurately as far as your understanding of what at least what the plaintiffs are saying? Pretty much on target. Let me give you an example of exactly what you're talking about. Early on in this stage, that's as I understood the settlement agreement as written. But for clarification purposes, way early in the process, we put a hypothet to the parties. My office did, to make sure we had it right. And the hypothet was there's 3 accountants who live in middle region of the state. The 3, one of the accountants has a heart attack. So he's obviously not working during this dip period. Because he's in the hospital or he's laid up in bed. And I'm looking at the medical records and I know that. And then I see he comes back at the end of that 6-month period and he's working again and the income goes back up. So according to the financial test that's laid out in this agreement, he meets the financial test. But I know, looking at that record, it's not directly related to that oil spill because it speaks for itself. So our question was, we raised it because we wanted to confirm that we had it right. We said, under that given circumstance, are we to apply, is this strictly a objective test, and we're not to look at the alternative cause? And the answer was, from the parties, that is correct. So BP's answer was, before the settlement agreement was finalized. Well, this was after it was finalized. That came after. But BP at that time confirmed exactly said, right, we already understood as part of the deal, we're not looking at causation, so even if the guy had a heart attack, and that's why he has less income.